Mhm. Well, good evening, everybody. This is Mimi Taylor Hendricks. I'm the board president of SHED, and I welcome you to the last in our series this year on the home ownership, a home buyer educational series. This last session will be hosted by Eric Mitchell, who is with Great Southern Bank. Started actually in 2012 when it was Fifth Third Bank before Great Southern bought that bank out. In 2019, he really began to focus his work on mortgages for low to moderate income areas, working with renters, trying to make them aware that there are avenues for them to move to home ownership. And his topic this evening is seasonal home maintenance, and that is near and dear to my heart for two reasons. One is in the next decade of the 2030s, my home will be 100 years old. So you can imagine that with that age, there comes a considerable amount of home maintenance that is required. But also, as the president of the board of SHED, whose focus has been over the last 13 years working with our seniors and disabled residents in University City. Home maintenance, exterior minor home repairs is something that SHED has focused its attention on. That's what we're known for. That's what we do. So it's easier if we can break down the home maintenance into smaller bites. That may be easier for us to work into our schedule as well as our budget and stay on track. But I think it's also important in terms of new homeowners, once they do all of the effort and the work to actually obtain a home, a lot of times they may not be ready for the fact that when something goes wrong, they can no longer pick up the phone and call the landlord because they are the landlord. So I am really anxious to hear what Eric has to offer us this evening in terms of a plan for attacking the maintenance that we need to do in order to keep our home in good shape. So Eric, welcome.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you for that introduction. We're going to hop right into it. Once again, my name is Eric Mitchell. I'm with Great Southern Bank. The home maintenance plan, we just want to get right into it. Since we're in November, we're just going to go ahead and start with November and kind of talk through some of the things that we believe. Actually, I talked to a few people that bank with us that actually work on homes and do repairs and stuff like that. They kind of gather some information from their perspective because they're the experts in that area. So I just kind of pull knowledge from them to get a better understanding of what everyone needs to do, and to kind of prevent, some major things going wrong. So that's where I got my information from, and we just want to walk going through the slides. We can go ahead and move forward. Home monthly maintenance checklist. We're going to start with November, and during the holiday, you're going to have a whole lot of family and friends. If you ever have gatherings, they're going to be coming to your home. You just want to make sure that everything is running smoothly. Make sure that you clean and inspect your gutters before the winter comes, because if they're full of leaves and ice, it can cause all kinds of damage. Because once that gutter pulls away from the home, from my understanding, that water will start leaking into the house, causing damage to your ceilings and stuff like that. You want to deep clean your carpets, replace any batteries in your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. I don't know if you guys saw the news last night, but there's a couple of families that were affected by carbon monoxide and actually passed away. So that's huge. Have your appliances serviced before the holidays. That's another big one. I think some people, from what I understand, they're calling people out to repair their refrigerators, and all they had to do was clean the condensers on the back of them. So these are some of the things that we need to focus on. Doesn't seem like anything serious, but it can be. So let's go to December. December is often busy with the holiday festivities, but you got to be vigilant. You got to check for damage and leaks. Number one, check for leaks in your attics, your basements, your crawl spaces. Keep your eye on pipes. Insulate them if necessary. Make sure you have candles and flashlights and other supplies you'll need in case of a power outage. Watch for winter damage. certain things we don't typically pay attention to, we need to try to start making sure that we do. January, you're not going to be outdoor much, but just make sure that your house is decluttered. Anything that you're not using, try to donate it. Make sure you clean your refrigerator coils. One of those things that keep your refrigerator from getting cold is the coil. Clean bathroom exhaust fans, deep clean your shower heads, your sink, your aerators, those little things on the tip of your faucets. Make sure those are clean. They screw right off. You can change those. Deep clean your washing machine. You can do that by basically filling it up with water, maybe put some bleach or vinegar in there, let it run a few times, and then just let it rinse out. Rotate your mattresses. February, another thing, declutter. Almost everyone that I spoke to about things that you can do, the declutter was huge, because when someone comes out, when your furnace needs to be serviced or something like that, they found that there's always a lot of stuff in the way. So you're going to see declutter a lot, because all of the guys that I talk to always mention that there's always something in the way, whether it's in the bedroom, bathroom, or whatever. Some people tend to just collect items. So make sure you declutter. Check the grout in your kitchens, your bathrooms, your laundry rooms, and, repair is needed. What happens if that grout starts to, disintegrate and starts to break up, your flooring is going to start to come loose. So then it's going to be a whole different ball game. Make sure you recaulk your bathtub, shower, and your sinks. If you see anything behind the sink or your towels in the bathroom shower, just go ahead and do that before they start falling apart. Restock your first aid kit. That's very important things that we really don't think about. Make sure your sub pump is working correctly. You just go down there, pour water in there, fill it up, see if it activates, and start pumping that water out, just to be cautious. Next slide. Spring cleaning, the big one. Complete a whole house deep clean. When you're going through into spring from winter, you got to think about walking in and out your house during the winter, all the different debris and stuff that you bring into the house. Make sure you're cleaning that up. Touch up any paint on the walls. Check the driveway for any cracks, walkways for any cracks from salt and stuff like that. Clean and inspect your gutters again. Clean up your lawnmower, tune it up. Change the spark plug in there, put some fresh oil. Once again, maintenance, battery to your smoke detector and carbon monoxide. You can't stress that enough. People take it for granted, but these things can really save your life and also save your property. Next slide. April, while you continue to do your spring cleaning, make sure that you check your exterior drainages. Spruce up your landscaping, repair or replace any siding as needed. As water get behind siding and it freezes during the winter, it can loosen that up. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. Repair and replace damaged window screens, and inspect your air conditioner. Make sure it's not full of leaves from the fall. All those leaves get to falling down in there, can kind of disrupt how it works out. Your unit works outside. Deep clean your oven. Some people buy these 10 pans, put in the bottom. As we go into May.
Eric, can I ask you a question from April? It was check your exterior. Yeah, check exterior drainage. Can you give me a little bit more on that?
Well, basically any downspouts you may have from your gutters.
Right.
Yeah, make sure they're not clogged. A lot of times you get some trees produce those little round things. I don't know the name of them, but they can get, or you can get extra leaves, little pieces of branches and stuff like that in those downspouts. And what happens, it overflows your gutters when it rains. So you want to make sure those things are clear.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Pressure wash and clean the exterior of your home. Restain your deck if needed. Restaining is fine. I've noticed too, sometimes decks are fine for the stain. You may want to upgrade it too. I did it myself. I wish I had pictures. I actually went from an old reddish looking color to what they're doing now with these more modern homes and painting my deck gray. Oh my goodness. The difference is like but it's just amazing. So just kind of be creative, with that. Pay attention to what they're doing with some of these new homes and add some of those features to your home. I have an old home that's built in like in the 70s. So I go around and kind of steal ideas to upgrade my house. Keep your garage clean. Treat your home for pests. This past summer, I don't know what happened, but we had these army ants. I'm like, where did they come from? But we had a tree for that. July, once again, check on your driveway, make sure it's sealed, or your garage door, your chain, garage door hinges, deep clean your shower heads, sinks, deep clean your refrigerator. I got a quick story. I'm gonna make it really fast. I didn't realize this, but our garage door has a keypad on the outside in the event you forget the door opener. In the winter, I didn't realize this. That keypad didn't work. So my wife and I don't know how, but we left the door key. So we got the garage door opener pad on the outside. It didn't open at a certain temperature. It was probably like 20 degrees. For some reason, it didn't work. We ended up having to get our whole locks changed on the door just to get inside the house. So just want to keep that in mind. Make sure that your keypads and everything are working properly. It can save you a little bit of money. Take care of your lawn, garden maintenance. Make sure all locks, deadbolts are working correctly. Clean all of the hardware in your home. Wipe down the kitchen cabinets. Rotate the mattresses. You'll be surprised how much grease can actually accumulate on your cabinets, even if you have like a ceiling fan in your kitchen. It's amazing how that heat can make this stuff, all the different greases and stuff rise and stick to your cabinets. I just did a deep clean on mine. I was surprised. Rotate your mattresses. Yeah. We're back to school around the corner. Once again, work on general home repairs as needed. Organize the mudroom entry, because once school comes in, kids gonna run in, take out the shoes, coaches, make sure there's no stuff in the way that was there prior to school starting. Try to organize stuff and rotate it out as they come in. So declutter clothing, discharge anything that's unneeded items, just get rid of it or donate it. Somebody else can use it. September is like a second year. So let's kind of walk into this. Complete a whole house deep clean. Schedule heating system maintenance because you're getting close to those winter months again. Have your chimney serviced. Repair any cracks in doors and windows. If you see something that's loose, it's best to go ahead and get to it now versus waiting, because the only thing it's going to do is get worse. A lot of times we like to procrastinate. We see something going wrong, so I'll just get to it next week. Might be too late, then you end up replacing it. So just kind of stay on top of all the things that you actually see that needs to be done. Let's go ahead and do it. Next slide. October. Once again, we're moving into the cooler months. Leaves are going to start falling. Just make sure you rake the leaves. Trim your bushes and hedges. Once all the leaves are falling, go ahead and get those up, put away, or protect your outdoor furniture. Winterize exterior plumbing. If you have those faucets outside or outdoor plumbing, just make sure that if they're exposed, they have those new cones that's insulated with styrofoam that you can put over those to keep those from freezing in the winter. Prepare your snow blower and other snow removal devices if need be. And just, once again, deep clean your oven. I don't know if you ever turn on your oven and there you have to cook something with a higher temperature and it starts smoking because all the stuff in there. So it's kind of stay on top of that. From maintenance to needed repairs. And these are some of the things you can kind of do to prepare for those unexpected costs. Just start your emergency savings account. Just put money away. I don't care if it's $20, $50 a month. Just put something up so when this stuff comes up, you'll have at least that amount to help out with those repairs. In our neighborhood over here in Dalewood, they actually had a program where they were offering like $1,000 for each homeowner to complete repair job that they needed done, or so check with your municipality, see what type of grants they have for repairs around there. Then you can utilize the equity in your home. It's another means of getting the money. If your home is paid off, and you need maybe $5,000 or $10,000, you can use that equity and it just to take care of those items. And equity loans usually have a lower interest rate, so they're just something to consider when you want to do repairs around your home.
You know what, Eric, too, that last slide said something that really hit me when you talked about creating funding for these repairs and updates and just maintenance issues. And the thing that I wrote down was take advantage also at these different seasonal points. We often either get via email or in the mail offers from your plumbing person, your tree trimming person, your electrical repair
Right.
person, here it,
Yeah.
or the garage door was one. We often, at least twice a year, get something in the mail about a inexpensive $49, $59 garage tune-up. Get those rollers checked, get those chains checked, get them oiled. Same thing with the furnace. Is it time to check on that furnace before, and it's reasonable. It's fairly reasonable, $59, $69 kind of a thing.
Right.
And it'll kind of help stay on top of any major issues that may come down the road.
That's an awesome point. That's an awesome point. Thank you for, circling back on that and bringing that information up, because it's truly important. You're right. Pay attention to the mail that you receive. Maybe create a little folder, put that information in there in the event that you need it. Yeah. Kind of moving into home improvement. These are just some basic things that you can try to do to help improve the value, or, just create a whole new look for your home. Ways to create the value, basically cleaning. And when I say declutter it, outdoor spaces, I don't know, guys, if you have someone in your neighborhood that just have so much stuff in their yard, and if they're next door, it kind of upsets the value of your home. So I'm the type of person to be proactive and just kind of make sure that my outdoor living space, if I'm out there with the family, and if we don't leave things unneat, let's leave it tidy. People just pass stuff on top of things, and it just doesn't look right, and can affect the value. If someone's trying to purchase a house, they're probably going to pass it up based on a neighbor, or based on the houses that surround them. So that's one of the things to kind of think about. If you have usable square footage, like a basement that's unfinished, go ahead and finish that basement. Get the right permits and add an extra bedroom or something like that, which can also add, increasing their value. Now, I got this Smart Energy, it's a efficient thermostat on here, and the reason why I did that is because here in the Midwest, I guess you guys can relate. We can have 80-degree weather in the morning, or yesterday, and then the next day it drops to like 20 or 30 degrees. Now, what if you're traveling during that time and your thermostat is not set appropriately and it drops below freezing? Now your pipes are exposed to this cold weather. So efficient, energy efficient thermostat help you to be able to control that while you're away. Take that temperature, to a high degree in order to protect your pipes and stuff like that. So that's my purpose of putting that on there. Not everybody think about that, but that's something we definitely need to worry about, especially in this Midwest, because this weather can change on you in an instant. Fresh paint always help. Keep this paint fresh around your windows. I mentioned earlier your deck. Change the paint on that to a more modern approach. Update your porch, things of that nature. Work on your curb appeal. Upgrade your exterior doors. Just things like that can actually increase the value and get that home a second look in the event you're trying to sell it. Give your kitchen an updated look. You can paint it, change it, or add cabinets if you have an older house that don't have it. So these are some of the things that I believe can help increase it, the value of your home.
Okay, I'd like to now then turn this over to Cindy Theory. She's been with us through this whole series of seminars as well. And Cindy is a realtor with Laura McCarthy Realty, a resident of University City and a real supporter of University City. So Cindy, talk about these maintenance issues and how it can impact the net worth of a home for a family.
So I want to kind of jump off of what Eric was talking about.
Okay.
And so, as luck would have it, I was doing some continuing ed yesterday, and the class was on the appraising of a home. And as I was taking my notes, I'm like, this is going to be good content for tomorrow. But everything that Eric said about increasing the value of your home is spot on. You want to keep it maintained because while your property is always appreciating, it can depreciate if it's not well cared for, right? And so to that last slide that we were talking about on how to add value to your home, I just want to share real quickly, kind of prioritize some of these. So obviously maintaining your home is important, but if you want to work toward adding value, which is going to ultimately add to your net worth, and then if your equity, and then if you sell, obviously, your return on investment. But number one is cosmetic, and at the top of that cosmetic list is kitchens. Kitchens sell homes. So a lot of people will update their kitchen right before they sell it, and you should maybe put that kitchen in when you can enjoy it a little bit, because a lot of times you're not going to get 100% of your investment back. So it's good if you can enjoy those investments while you can. But for the best return on investment, paint. Eric mentioned that about the deck, but that's true of the whole house. Whether you are painting on the inside, a fresh coat of paint, when buyers are coming in and looking at the home and it just looks fresh and clean, paint goes a long, long way. After that, it's kind of the structural issues, sidings, gutters, windows. Then number 4 would be mechanical, and that's going to be your roof and your HVAC. And then lastly, and Eric talked about this too, is increasing utility. So if you have a basement, you could finish that. If you have a porch that you might want to close in for extra square footage, you can do that. You can modernize the floor plan by maybe taking out a wall and, giving your floor plan a more open look, adding a bathroom in the basement. So those types of things that add utility. And then I'll close off on that topic and say, you can over improve. So a good example I'll share the example that the appraiser used was, we just talked about adding a bath. Well, if you have a 3-bed, 1-bath home, putting a bathroom in the basement is a great investment. But if you have a 3-bed, 3-bath home, putting another bathroom in the basement really doesn't add any value, because you've got enough bathrooms. And while you might want a 4th bathroom, it's not really going to increase the value of your home. You have enough bathrooms. So that's just a little insight from an appraiser. And maybe next year when we do this series, we can talk about how appraisers appraise a house. That might be a great topic. But let's go forward and talk about home ownership and the impact on a family's net worth. So right now, interest rates have gone up, although they did come down this week a little bit, but they've been, for the last 18 months, they've been rising. So there's a lot of fear in the market about, can I afford a home? Or if I buy a home, is it going to lose value? And what I can tell you about that is home values are not going to drop. That's just a given. I said it earlier, homes are always appreciating. The interest rate, there's not much we can do about that. So the best thing that we can tell you is, if you're prepared to buy a home, and you can work, and you can afford a home with the current interest rate, then you should purchase a home, because in the long run, regardless of the interest rate, you're going to be increasing your equity and net worth, say over renting, because in 10 years or 20 years or, you know, even 30 years, if you've stayed in that home 30 years and never refinanced and you've made that last payment, you know, if you're still renting in 30 years, you're always going to have that rent payment and it's always going to go up. And home ownership actually gives you a little stability. And we'll talk about that in a bit. So kind of our rule of thumb is if you're ready and you're able to go ahead and buy a home, because there is no disadvantage. And if the interest rates drop, which, you know, they've been predicting they will, there's always the option to refinance and then lower your house payment. So let's talk about this slide that's been up here on the screen, and that is the American Dream. And so, you know, this is a survey that was done by Bankrate, and the number one, I guess, desire of Americans is to own a home. And that's over, as you can see, the ability to be able to retire, you know, successful career, college degrees. You can see it. It's been a constant that is the number one desire of the American dream. So let's go to the next slide. And so what are the benefits? And so this was a survey done by Fannie Mae. And owning a home has more benefits than just the financial benefits, but it, you know, I talked about the stability. So it's giving you a place, you know, where you feel safe, you feel at home. It may be nicer than, you know, a rental. It gives you means to live within your budget. It's something that you can budget for because your mortgage payment is going to be relatively stable. And that goes along with the next one about having less stress. So, you know, if you are renting a home, you never have to worry about the landlord raising the rent or coming to you and saying, you know, I'm going to sell the house. So you have 30 days to find someplace else to live. But having that constant mortgage payment, which, you know, insurance may go up from time to time, you may have some small incremental increases, but you don't have to worry about the landlord, you know, raising the rent. So those are some of kind of the tangible benefits of home ownership. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about how we as Americans think about home ownership in the investment. If you want to go to the next slide, Eric. So this gives you a quick snapshot of how we as Americans view home ownership as a long-term investment. And you can see this goes back to 2011, but it's been a steady increase. Now, you can see that this year it's declined a little bit, and that's because of those interest rates. So the market's been super hot the last couple of years, but with interest rates rising, there's been a drop, but you can see that it's still very strong. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see that this is over gold, stocks, and savings account by a pretty good margin. So even though you can see that dip from last year to this year, it still outpaces other forms of long-term investments. So we can go to the next slide. So, you know, this gives you, it's kind of the same information, but it gives you another snapshot of just how much real estate is perceived as the best long-term investment. Next slide. So what is the impact on net worth? Next slide. Okay. So every 3 years, the Federal Reserve does a survey of consumer finances. And this report came out fairly recently. And in the last 3-year period, the growth in median net worth was the largest 3-year increase over the history of this survey, and it's more than double the next largest one on record. So this last 3 years of median net worth was the largest, and a lot of that is due to home ownership. So let's go to the next slide. And so for families that own their primary residence, their housing wealth increased substantially in those 3 years. And as the house prices rose, it outpaced inflation. And then you can see here, it says the median net housing value increased 44% in that 3-year period. And we've talked about that in earlier slides, but no, you can keep moving. There you go. So what this slide here shows you is that the net worth of a homeowner is that 40 times higher, right, versus that of a renter, because a renter is always going to be paying rent. And there's no way for that that money to grow, right? Versus if you're paying a mortgage, and yes, there are other costs, but ultimately, as I said before, at the end of 10, 20, 30 years, you have this constant payment that you can rely on, whereas rent may be going up and you are not, it's a form of saving money, right? It's an investment. And while this gap in home ownership and renters has always existed, you can see that it's getting greater, right? So there was kind of a dip, in 2008 when we had the big crash, but right now that gap is just getting bigger. So this is not to, not everyone is obviously financially able at this time. And it's not to say, oh, you need to go buy a house, but it's just to show you the benefits of owning. And, if you're able, you may want to go ahead and pull the trigger. And if you're not quite ready to buy a house, this may be good incentive to show you how you can build your personal net worth over the long term by owning a home. So this is basically the same slide, just showing you that gap and how great it's getting, right? And it will continue probably to grow as home prices continue to rise. So we could go a lot deeper. I'm always here if you have questions. Feel free to reach out. But Eric, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Or are there questions either from Reggie or Mike that you want to ask?
I'm sorry, I was muted. It's Eric. I was
That's-
muted, but no, I don't have anything else. Any questions? I'm open. If anyone has any questions for me.
Eric, I'd like to just ask you as a banker, what are some of the just general product options for homeowners to access some of that equity you referenced?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. You have your home equity line of credit, and then the payments on those are based off how much of the credit that's extended to you that you actually use. And then you have your home equity loan, which is just one flat out amount just given to you, and then you have a set payment each month throughout that term. Those are the two. And then also being in a bank and then offering mortgage products, we can also refinance the home if they're looking for, once the market is better, like with better rates and they want to refinance, we can also do that as well. But right now, a home equity line of credit or either a home equity loan are the products that probably most financial institutions are offering to pull that equity and to be able to utilize it for any type of repairs, or maybe using it for your daughter's wedding or something else. So owning a home can actually give you funds for various different things.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. And typically, how is that equity value determined from a banking standpoint?
Yeah, usually it depends on the actual product, but and also like credit criteria and stuff like that. So up to like 90% of the loan to value you know, if it's outright, and then it's going to be maybe 85% of the amount of the equity minus what's owed. So there's the actual calculation and formula. So let's say, for instance, if you have $100,000 house and you owe $20,000 on it, you'll be able to get 80% of 80,000. That makes sense to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how long is there a set number of months or years that you have to pay it back? Or can it be adjusted to whatever the homeowner desires? Okay.
Yeah, you have well, it depends on which product you go with. With the home equity line of credit, I think you have 10 years to access it.
Okay.
And then with the home equity loan, you have up to 20 years to pay it off. So it just depends on the product. Also depends on the financial institution. Not all financial institutions have the same terms as it relates to those type of products. So.
Okay, excellent. Anybody else have questions for either Cindy or Eric?
Eric, is there any, and this is Cindy, is there any good time, if you will, to take a second mortgage, or is there ever suggest?
Say it again.
Is there ever a good time to take a second mortgage out on? Or do you?
Well, yeah. I mean, it just depends on what the individual need is. You know, if there's an emergency and something that really needs to, be done, for instance, a roof on a house, depending on the size of the house, can be pretty expensive. So if you have the equity, the home equity becomes a second. You know what I mean? But yeah, it just depends. Or if my daughter's getting married, or it's an emergency and we need a new car. You know what I mean? Instead of paying, the interest rate that might be higher on the car, maybe cheaper with a home equity. So it just depends on the circumstances. Just kind of do your research and weigh your options to kind of see what, and then have a repayment plan. See, calculate how fast you want to pay it off. There's no early payoff penalties in Missouri, so you may have a plan for that. So even though you take that loan out, you might be able to, pay it off sooner. So it just depends on the circumstance. So is the best. The good thing is, you say a good time to get the loan. The good thing is having it available to get it.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages of owning your home.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
It's an asset. Okay.
And Eric,
go ahead. Go ahead, Cindy.
I was going to ask a question just about first-time home buyer programs. So I saw that Fannie Mae recently created a database for lenders so that they could search the availability of first-time home buyer programs across the country. And so that's kind of a two-part question. One is, does Southern Bank have any programs that you can offer to first-time home buyers? And then is that database that Fannie Mae has something that you can utilize to assist home buyers?
Well, first about the website, I'm not too familiar with it, but I'm glad you brought it up. Maybe if you can introduce me to that site, I would like to look into it. But secondly, yes, Great Southern, we do have a program. It's called the Open Door Program that we offer to first-time buyers or people who have owned a home and decided they wanted, they sold it and years later want to get a different one. But the Open Door Program is for low and moderate areas. And what it does is it provides 100% loan to value. Okay, so they don't need a down payment. And also, there's no PMI, with this particular program.
Okay.
Right. And you only need a 600 credit score as well. So Great Southern Bank definitely keeps the community in mind in all aspects, and not just from low to moderate, upper and middle, but we just want to make sure everybody have that opportunity for home ownership.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a Cindy question. Cindy, from a realtor standpoint, what would you recommend sort of as your top 5 home improvements for resale value increase?
Oh, you want me to run through those real quick? So number 1 is kitchens, but that kind of falls into number 2. So, but it's really cosmetic, right? So anything cosmetic to improve the look of your home, but kitchens tend to sell homes. That's kind of a golden rule of real estate. But so, you know, bathrooms, they're kind of second on the list, but paint is the best return on investment. If you can do nothing else but paint, it will go a long way. After that is kind of the structural aspects. So siding, gutters, new windows, especially if you live in an older home. People are always looking for new windows when they're looking at homes. After that comes mechanical. It's kind of number 4 on the list. That's going to be, you know, a new roof or an HVAC. And new roofs are really important. The insurance industry has been hit really hard. The last couple of years, they have paid out more in claims due to, you know, all the natural disasters than they've paid in premiums. And so a lot of insurance companies are not insuring roofs if they are over 10 years of age. So, you know, different insurance companies have different policies, but if they're over 10 years of age, some will do a cash value. So it just kind of depends. But that's why if you're selling a home, I have known of buyers that have come back and said, our insurance company won't give us insurance. And the seller has had to put a new roof on. So that's number 4, the roofs, gutters, the systems, your furnace, your AC. If they're very old, you may want to take advantage of putting in new systems. You can get grants or discounts through either Ameren or Spire, and then you'll have a more energy efficient, and it may help on your utility bills as well. And then lastly would be the increasing the utility. So either adding space or modernizing the floor plan by maybe taking out some walls, adding a basement, those types of things.
Thank you.
All right, then. We got a lot of good information. As I said, I like this slide month by month breakdown, Eric. I think it's something that we can use and send out to all of the people that contact Shed for help with some kind of a maintenance issue on their home. So we'll start sending that out with every application we send out next year. And that might help them be a little bit more optimistic about being able to continue to maintain their home, because a lot of them, I mean, they're just elderly. They can't physically take care of it by themselves anymore. They just don't have the finances to take care of it anymore. But the willingness to do it is still there, to be a good neighbor, to be a good homeowner. So I think this might help them approach it just break it down so it's a little bit more easily digested, and to help plan for those things too. So I think this is going to be one of those good resources, and we'll put it on the website, and we'll also start to distribute that all next year. So that'll be great. So Cindy and Eric, I thank you for being with us this evening. We've got a lot of good information, a lot of good support to, you know, keep supporting home ownership. It is a goal. It is a dream. It is appreciating. It is an asset that greatly increases our bottom line net worth. So it's definitely a good thing for all of us to do if we can afford to do so. So with that, I'd like to thank you for being with us this evening. And everybody, I wish you the best of the holidays coming up, and I wish you happy home buying. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Have a great holiday.
Thank you.